Hey y'all, I'm Shauna and welcome to my channel and another day of Vlogmas. Today I'm talking about all of the 2021 makeup releases I'm just glad I didn't buy. I know this video is pretty popular this time of year and I think there's different iterations of it that happen, like makeup that you forgot about, I think is another version of this that works. Well, not totally the same, but similar. And so I just want to get into it. I want to talk about a handful of makeup products that I felt really tempted to buy, but ultimately didn't, and kind of talk you through my thought process about that and why I'm glad I didn't buy it. First up on this list is the e.l.f. Camo CC Cream. Now this came out last December. I'm pretty sure it was a December release, and there was a couple of things that came out at the same time. There was the mascara, there was the CC cream, the putty blushes, and then that like eyelash and brow serum. I only bought the lash and brow serum recently. I wanted it last year as well. And this is just one that to me it feels appropriate to talk about because I wanted it for December and January, and I don't know, something like, I feel like the makeup year ends in November and then December is kind of like its own world on YouTube. Anyways, I wanted this because I just wanted a BBCC cream that was affordable. It was an automatic thought and just kind of fit more to my fantasy self. Like, I want to be that person who likes these kinds of products and who wears them every day. And one of the reasons that I don't is because a lot of these products just aren't great for oily skin. But number two is that I've just been experiencing a lot of acne this year, and so it's just been quicker to put on a more full coverage kind of base. And even if I could get a look that I'm happy with using a lighter complexion product, it just takes like honestly, it takes me around 15 to 20 minutes just to get on a base with powder that I like, when normally I could just do like a whole makeup routine in maybe 25 minutes. It's just too much fussing for the kind of product that it is, and that's also because a lot of these products are more dewy, so they need a lot of setting. I think you get my drift. So I just wanted to buy this because of my fantasy self and who I wanted to be, and I wanted to be this really minimalist kind of makeup person that has like this beautiful natural aesthetic, and that's just not always me. I'm glad that I skipped this because I just don't think that it would work for my skin type, even if I could get the product to like actually look nice on the skin. I ultimately like just hadn't interrogated my desire for this product back in December and January. It was just, I want it, and I didn't buy it in December because I was on a no buy. And if I wasn't, there's a chance I just would have up and bought it. And so I'm glad that by the time January rolled around, my strongest initial feelings were gone for this product. I also wanted the putty blushes for a similar reason. And again, it was this automatic thought. I want to be this person who uses a cream blush, who uses the potted blush. Here's the thing about this product that I hope will make the distinction a little clear. I still want the putty blushes, and I actually think that they would be a good purchase at this point, but a year ago they weren't, because I hadn't watched reviews. I hadn't actually interrogated my desire for this product. It was, I want to be this kind of person, and this makeup product helps me achieve this fantasy self that I'm trying to create. And I didn't even know if it would be good for my skin type, or what colors I liked, which colors I would want. Like there was just so little thinking that went into that initial thought. And now a year later, I'm actually thinking that this might be good for 2022 because there are colors that I like. This I have actually heard good reviews on, especially for my skin type. And so I'm thinking that this could now be a good purchase, but that's only because a year has gone by and I've been able to interrogate that feeling, and it just would have been an impulsive purchase and an uninformed one. Next up is Rare Beauty, and this one is like just a whole brand situation. Rare Beauty came out when I was on my no buy year, and I'm kind of glad that it happened that way because I love this brand aesthetic so much. I wanted to buy everything from the brand just because of that. I do have a couple of things from Rare which I did get as gifts. I got the lip stain, or like the lip, why am I blanking on the word? The liquid lip. And then I also got a blush and a mini blush and a mini lip gloss, not a gloss. I think it's a lip product. It's like their With Gratitude Dewy Lip Tint or something like that. I love everything that I have tried from the brand, but I really first wanted this brand because the aesthetic is so nice. And when I look at the packaging for the foundation and the concealer, I think it's so beautiful. I just wanted it because of that. I wanted it because I really want to like the brand and I really like the aesthetic, and I was sucked into the aesthetic. Ultimately, I think these would be a horrible purchase because I don't think they're for my skin type. I've read reviews on Rare and a lot of people are saying that the actual type of person that can use this product is such a narrow window. I just don't think it would be for me, and why I just don't think I would like it. So I'm glad I didn't just say, oh wow, new brand I want to try and new aesthetic I like, let me just buy it. I'm glad I watched reviews and stood back. And I still feel that way about the concealer and the foundation. And I guess I'm just more like hopeful in the future that there will be other things, other complexion products that they release that will be good for my skin type, because I've just come to really appreciate good makeup packaging and they offer that. But I'm glad that I skipped Rare. Majority of their complexion releases, even their eyeshadows, I was trying to make myself like the eyeshadow palettes because I wanted to buy from the brand, when I don't like any of the color stories for any of the eyeshadow palettes that they've developed. Next on the list is the Fenty Ease Drop or Easy Drop. This is a product that I think out of everything on this list, maybe not everything, but at least so far on this list, was so hyped. This was such a hyped complexion release. It felt like everybody and their mom was trying this. Rare was kind of the same way, and it was a huge deal in the beauty space because it was a new brand launch and there was just so much buzz about it, and it felt like everybody was buying it. I kind of feel similar to Fenty when they released. Felt like there were so many people who were waiting at the stores to buy Fenty. In my opinion, there's not a ton of new brand launches that get the same hype as something like Rare did or Fenty did when Fenty released back in maybe 2017, I think is when they released, maybe 2018, something like that. So the Ease Drop foundation, or the Ease Drop complexion product, was so hyped and everybody was so excited about this new complexion formula for a brand. And I think they're one that most brands don't actually have that many complexion product types out there. So I think it's always exciting when an established brand you love releases a complexion product, and Fenty is like just known for their shade range. A lot of people were loving on this product and I wanted this just basically out of hype. And so for me, hype was the biggest factor. I just kind of like wanted to try the new thing that everybody else was trying. I do actually think that the Fenty Ease Drop would look good on my skin type, or I think it is good for my skin type, so it's different from the e.l.f. BB cream. But what I think is true of why this would not have been a good decision, I personally feel like I need more experience with this kind of product before going and buying multiples. Like I do have some of these types of products to experiment with in my own collection, and one of the reasons why I don't typically use this product is one that I've already mentioned, is that they take more time, but also when you have a foundation or base routine that you've been doing your whole life, it's just familiar. And so I've been doing like such a similar base routine for like a decade, which has always revolved around a heavier, fuller coverage foundation. And I know how to layer products on top of it, and it's always like I know how to build a look with that particular base. I'm used to my skin looking a particular way. I just know how to build a look and layer products, and I just don't feel as confident in building a look around this lighter coverage skin look. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that I haven't proven that I would use this kind of product enough to justify buying another one. And I do like some variety in my skin, like my base complexion products. But with that said, in order for me to buy another one of these, I need a track record. I need to prove to myself that I will actually wear this. Otherwise, it will sit around and it will never be used. I feel as well, before I buy one of these like BBCC creams, I need to try it out like in a sample or at the store, because the fact that it is for my skin type makes all the difference. And then it just makes it easier to use, easier to blend, and just more of what I'm looking for. And so if I did want to buy this in the future, because if I ever did want a BB or CC cream, this is one that is on the radar. But I would need to have a proven track record with that type of product, and I would want to try it out in some kind of capacity, like through a sample or in store, to feel it and to see it before I bought the full size. Because I did none of those things, I think that this was a good launch to skip, and it might just be such a great product that is user-friendly, that is meant for my skin type or workable for my skin type. But until I do that further research and actually try the product in some kind of capacity for myself, it's not a good buy until that point. Another Fenty product is their cream gloss. This got a lot of hype this year because their regular glosses are just so good and so loved that I think a lot of people assumed that their cream glosses would be just as loved and just as excellent, and I felt that way too. I was like, oh my gosh, like I love their gloss, I can't wait to try this, and I just wanted to try the new release from Fenty. When the hype died down, I just wasn't super jazzed about this formula. This is a pretty opaque gloss formula, which is not one that I was into for most of the year, and I just went to the website right now to take a look at the colors. There wasn't any that I was really in love with except for Fenty Glow. Fenty Glow does look like a nice shade, but because until I tried the lifter glosses, I wasn't really into a cream gloss, it just didn't make sense to me. And I wanted this for the hype opposed to actually, well, not just the hype, but also wanting to try a new product from a favorite brand. This would have been just a classic trying to try. I'm glad I didn't buy it because this would have just been 100% hype and trying to try. And now that I actually have glosses of this type of formula that I love, it would make sense now. But I'm just like, I'm so in love with my lifter glosses, I'm just like really content, so I don't actually want to buy this at the moment. But all I'm saying is that now that I like this kind of formula, it would make sense only now. I want to talk about the Huda Beauty, their chocolate palettes or their brown palettes. Yes, I have to look this up. Their Brown Obsessions palettes. These are palettes that I love for the color story. I really like these color stories objectively as an independent color story. Like if I were to see this on the wall, I go, wow, that's pretty. But as an actual piece of makeup that I would put on my eyes, no. I do like her formula, and so it's like, oh, Huda released a new 9-pan palette. I like the 9-pan palettes. But I am so particular with shimmers, and for me, it's gonna be a shimmer that's gonna make or break a palette, like whether it's usable or not. And in all of the palettes, the shimmers just weren't there. And I'm looking at the colors now, and so I think in the Toffee palette, the shimmers were the closest to what is wearable for me, but I hated that yellow shade. And there was two that I think I could wear every day. One was, I'm not sure, and then the last one was probably not. So there was no shimmer like where I could use all of them. There was only ever one or two that I ever really liked that left another one or two of the shimmers that I wouldn't wear, and then the rest of the colors that are built around these are just browns. And honestly, I have not really been loving brown eyeshadows on my eyes. It's just not a color store that I've been wearing. I've tried it a couple times in the last few months, and I have like hated the way that they looked. So one of the things I guess I've learned this year in particular, and started learning last year, is that I bought palettes because I like the color story as a color story and not actually a color story that is wearable on my eyes to me. And this is an example of that. And I have no regrets about skipping this at all. The other palette, okay, we're gonna talk about the other Huda palette because like we're talking about the same brand here, even though it's the newest release on the list. Again, I just like have it pulled up here and it's $90. Well, it's $88. You could get it in a sale, but it's still super expensive. This palette, it was one that I was trying to make myself like because it was so hyped. And I've just found that her like rosy nudie eyeshadow formulas are just, they're not for me. The color stories are so, the palettes are so big, and because they're so big, in my opinion, there's just too much room for shadows I'm not. And so ultimately what I found was that this is too purple gray for me, and I don't like gray eyeshadows on me, and I do like some mauve tones, but not so much like true purples. And it's too similar to the Natasha Denona, her new palette. I'm already blanking on the name of that. Wow. The new Natasha Denona palette. It's too similar in color story for me, where it's like I already have the one of the two that I like. And so I was trying to force myself to like this palette. And I even considered like, oh yeah, you should buy it because it was getting so hyped. It's just not for me. And I actually think that I need to just say, when Huda releases her like November nude type palette release, it's just going to be a no from me in the future, unless there is a huge or high rate of evidence to suggest that it could be for me. And I don't know, maybe that's the way I need to approach eyeshadow now, where everything has to be a no, and then you need like you need proof beyond a reasonable doubt that you would like it, opposed to I like it, you need to prove to me why I wouldn't, you know? Okay, on the palette theme, the Patrick Ta eyeshadow palette was one that I was swooning over. This might be the palette I wanted the most this year, period. Like I wanted this so bad. This felt like my perfect nude palette. And I was like, Shauna, it's your perfect nude palette. How could you say no to a perfect nude? Like, you would be crazy to say no to that, right? This came out while I was on my no buy, so I didn't buy it. Upon further inspection, past the lust stage and get into the you're a reasonable human stage, I need to be very clear about how picky I am with shimmers. There's only 2 of the shimmers here, maybe 3, like the third one is kind of questionable, that I would actually like. And then it has these cream browns. I will not use the cream browns, and I did not realize that at first when it first launched. And then there's 2, if not 3 of the shimmers that I wouldn't wear. I'm just gonna give myself the benefit of the doubt and say there's only 2 that I wouldn't. That's still 4 eyeshadows. That's like a third of the palette. Why would I buy something where I can't actually wear a third? That's 33%. Why would I, like, it just does not make sense. And now when I look at this, I think of it as so impractical. It's like, I wouldn't wear so many of the shimmers. It has creams. I don't like creams. And then also, as I was saying, I don't really like browns on my eyes. I'm just not loving that color right now. And if I want browns, I have a brown somewhere in my eyeshadow collection. Like, I don't need a full brown palette that's like $87. Like, it's fine. I don't actually need it, and I'm glad that I passed. The next thing I want to talk about is the MAC Tempting Fate collection. I never talked about this anywhere on my channel because I found out about this and then wanted it like this and almost bought it, but I decided to watch reviews because I was like, okay, if I buy it, I need to make sure I do my due diligence. I found this color story beautiful. This was one of the best color stories for fall. To me, it was such a beautiful, beautiful color story. I watched reviews and saw that people had a horrible reaction to this palette, like it was just bad quality, and I still kind of wanted it, which was totally irrational. And so what I decided to do was see if I could dupe it out with things that I already own, and I got pretty close. And what I realized is that this was another example of a palette color story I loved as a color story, but not as a wearable thing on my face. that had a green and then a couple of like, there was at least a deep shimmery purple and maybe one others. There has only been one time on this channel this year where I've worn a green, and it was for a NARS video. I am perfectly happy with like my singular green shadow. I do not need more. And also that shimmery purple, I wouldn't actually wear it. So there was, again, probably around a third of the palette that I would never wear. So why would I buy it? And so I'm so glad I was able to skip it, because now when I see it, I'm like, damn, beautiful color story. Like, why did you ever think you would put that on your eyes? Very, very good. Very nice pass. I have two Glossier things to talk about next. And one is their quads, and then the other one is the Ultra Lip. Now, I wanted the Ultra Lip, and there was shades I felt like would be really nice shades for me. I'm glad I skipped this just on the simple fact that I have too many lipsticks. I just can't buy any more lipsticks right now, and while they might truly be a beautiful formula, I just can't go buy every lipstick I want because I want it. So I'm glad I skipped it. This is likely something I'll buy in the future, but just because you want something doesn't mean you get it now. And this has passed for a couple of months, and I'm still interested in it. Kind of similar to the Persona E-Balms. I think they're really similar formulas. I still want to try the E-Balm, and I've wanted it for about a year now, but it just doesn't make sense based on how many lipsticks I have. I think both of those releases are just ones to put in my back pocket for later. When it comes to the quads, I wanted this because I was just like really curious about the eyeshadow formula, and there was one color that I liked. I think it's called Almond. The palette's got such a mixed review, and people are saying that things really matter based on the color that you get. And I haven't seen a lot of people reviewing Almond in specific, but ultimately, like, I just decided not to buy this because, well, I think it's nice in the pan. It's at the end of the day a brown, and I'm just not loving browns now. I just got so sucked into this brand that I like has a new eyeshadow release. I want to try an eyeshadow from this brand, and I don't need to try the new release from the new brand. The last thing I want to talk about is the Tower 28, their milky set. I think that's what it's called. It has the clear gloss and then a new lip shade of their glosses. I wanted this because it was like a new Tower 28 release, and they make one of my favorite gloss formulas out there. And because I love the product so much, I was like, you know, like this would just be a really great buy because you use glasses and you already love this brand, and I wanted it because it was a new release. But I don't like clear glosses. I've already learned that lesson, and then the new shade that they have is just not my jam. I already have a brownie kind of gloss from them, and that is the brown gloss that I like the most. They have a couple others, and then the new one out of all of their brownie glosses, it's the one that I like the most. So I don't need one that I like less. It just doesn't make sense combined with a clear gloss. Not for me. I just kind of need to get out of my head that there are products that I can instinctually buy, or products or even brands that if they make a new release, I should just buy it, because you should never just buy anything because it's new. So I'm really proud of myself for skipping all of these releases. I'm glad that I did, and one of the things I hope to do next year is create more space in between my makeup purchasing, and so I can be more considered, and I have something that will be in place to help with that, I hope. And I'm just kind of excited to be like the best kind of consumer that I can be, and skipping makeup releases is part of that. So let me know what makeup releases you're glad you skipped. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. I love hearing that kind of feedback, and thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for being here, and I hope to see you again around here soon. Bye.